This is like the first conference I've been to ever that's ahead of schedule. Usually I'm like typing notes on my phone before I go up because I kind of like just about the audience and whatever, try and draw some threads between me and the people there. I'm usually like known as the bad news guy, mostly just because I talk about the economy, and the economy hasn't really given us much good news in the last little bit. I'm going to go through a couple of things today. I'm going to go through, first I'm going to tell you who I am, then I'm going to tell you about what's happening in Canada's real estate market and economy, and then I'm going to talk about, some of the big changes that we're seeing in the real estate space right now. So I guess I'll contextualize that a little bit, and I'll start off by describing myself. So I actually used to do, I think, what most of you do in this business. And I started what I would call Canada's like first media agency for realtors, like 15 years ago. Back then it was like Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, and I was less on the creative side and more just like setting up. I was doing some of the creative stuff for realtors, but setting up. Back then, everybody was just shooting with their own cameras, their own digital cameras, I think. But set up like a Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, and then have them on a management plan. I sold that business to a real estate website company, and it was catastrophically bad handoff, and I learned a lot from that process. After that, I went to university. I got a little bit more into like economics and data science, just like a nerd at heart. I think like for a lot of you who are working with technology all day, with cameras, computers, et cetera, I think like that probably resonates with you. And then the Toronto Real Estate Board shut down the data science platform that I built, and eventually ended up buying it. It's now the most used data science platform by realtors in the world. So that kind of is where like a lot of my analytical mind comes from. I look at what's happening in the market and how it impacts our business, right? And we're all in the same business. We're all in the business of marketing properties, really, and helping convey what the property is to a consumer so that they can purchase it. I host Canada's #1 real estate podcast, as mentioned, and in the last couple of years, I've been the most published realtor in Canada, and I don't mention that as a brag, but more that I took all the skills that I had from working in the business that you guys are in and translated it to sort of my own, once I felt ready, into my own media platform. And I've been very lucky to have grown one of the biggest platforms and followings in the real estate space in Canada, using a lot of the principles that I learned in your space. And I co-own and operate a brokerage called Valerie.ca. Valerie Labs, we build technology for real estate professionals. So a lot of AI workflows. Basically, if there's anything that realtors are doing that they're not doing well or that can be done by AI, it's our goal to eliminate that task. And I'm going to talk a little bit about AI because I know in a room full of, do you guys consider yourself creatives or entrepreneurs, or like a little bit of both? Don't say both, actually, but like hands up if you're like primarily a creative. Okay, and what about entrepreneurs? Cool, okay. So we'll be like more AI slop than like, is that, no? Well, I'll talk about AI slop a lot, honestly, because I have an interesting economic opinion on it. But I have 40 minutes here, and I always find that like 40 minutes is a really long time to listen to somebody speak. I'm pretty monotone. I've tried really hard to be more exciting. I can't. So if you guys want to make this more of like a conversation than a presentation, that'd be great. If you want to interrupt me, if you have a question, anything, I would prefer that. We also, at Valerie, we distribute our tools to realtors as a SaaS product as well, so it's not just for agents at our brokerage, and we just launched that. We also have vendors that are available, so it's basically like an operating system. Agents can connect with people like yourselves, home inspectors, et cetera, and actually the entire booking workflow, as an example, is managed by AI. So let's start with the market. The market is bad. Would everybody agree? I mean, last year was probably good for you guys. There's record listing volume, at least in the GTA, right? This year we're below that, but not horribly. I think the problem is that everybody's broke, real estate professionals especially, not exceptionally good at managing money at the best of times, but in a down cycle, even worse. So even if they're listing properties, are they spending a lot of money? Are they easy to get money from? Or are they going and grabbing their phones and trying to hack it? What do you, like? I guess it's kind of a question. Are you guys seeing, like, did you guys all have a record year last year? Yeah? Okay, cool. That's good. That excites me. I see some nods. Did I lose everybody at the back? Are you spending less this year? Yeah. So listings are down. I can get to, I think I have the data somewhere in here, but listings are down this year, so that might be why. But like spending less like on an apples to apples basis, like, yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you usually in bad economies see like businesses be unfortunately forced to commoditize their product, which sucks as people in the creative space. I don't like necessarily consider I'm not going to try and like pretend that I'm like super, fellow kids with you guys, but I create like multiple times a week. I have a YouTube channel. I have Instagram, TikTok, etc. And I do it in a very poor way, but I still do it regularly. But you'll find that unfortunately, real estate professionals are now looking for like the cheapest, the minimum viable product, right? And they shouldn't be, by the way. We'll talk a little bit about that. So where we're at with Canada's economy, money supply is falling. Usually don't see that unless we're kind of heading into a recession. Oil price shock. Obviously, everybody knows this. If you drove here, fuel's getting more expensive. As a result, everything else that gets to you with fuel gets more expensive. So any good that takes a plane, train, or auto, basically everything is going to become more expensive. Usually what this results in is cost of everything goes up, people buy less of it, we end up in a recession, and interest rates come down, and that actually ends up being stimulative to the economy. And I'll sort of explain, I kind of show you what that looks like. So we're in the employment phase of this cycle. So when interest rates go up, housing gets impacted first because it's the most levered up product people buy with credit, and then their borrowing power goes down, they can afford to spend less money on a house. Less money on a house means less money on decks and renovations and all of those things, so they're spending less money ordering stuff from contractors, from folks like yourselves, and then businesses contract because they're making less profit. When businesses contract because they're making less profit, they lay people off, they hire less people, and so we get to the unemployment phase. As it stands right now, unemployment is rising, so we're in the unemployment phase of this hope cycle. On the bright side, as rates come down, it ramps back up the same way. So interest rates come down, people have more buying power, housing benefits first, then they start ordering more things from producers like yourselves. And then your profits go up, and then you can hire again, and unemployment starts to trail. If we look at this on a national level, the distribution of the places in Canada that have the highest unemployment rates, London just saw the biggest jump up to 9.1%, but the top 5 cities in Canada are all in Ontario. So most of the other places in the country aren't really experiencing what we would call a recession, but Ontario is very clearly in a recession. You can see this as well in this chart is very tough to see it's kind of blown out, but there's a Toronto line and it's doing what you don't want to see it doing. I don't know, can you guys see that? No, it's like salmon colored, yeah. Prices are coming down. Prices coming down is a good thing, by the way. Like, it means buyers can afford to buy houses, right? Price to income gets better. But why aren't they buying more houses today? Like last year, we saw the lowest number of sales that we've ever seen in Canadian history, and the highest number of listings that we've ever seen in Canadian history. Why aren't buyers buying the listings? Because they feel that prices are going to come down or continue to come down. They've been rewarded for patience so far, and there's a really scary economy that they're not feeling comfort that they want to go lever up and put a bunch of money in, or take the biggest financial risk of their lives in a bad economy. So new listings last year were exceptionally high. This year so far, sellers are kind of responding to the fact that the market isn't what they wanted it to be in the last year. So we are seeing the supply come off a little bit. And that obviously for you guys who are pretty upstream in the delivery of real estate from a seller to a buyer, that's probably where you're feeling, this year may be slower than a record year that we saw last year. Last year we did see record numbers of listings, especially in the GTA. One of the interesting trends that I'm seeing is the reason that a lot of this is taking place. I don't know if it's just my angle. Can you guys only see one line there? Yeah? Okay, so there's a bunch of other lines. I'll just start describing these charts to you that are other cities, and that one is this year, so it's a year-over-year chart, and it's above all the other lines. These are people who had their properties for sale last year, and a lot of your borrowers in the market or sellers in the market right now, they don't there's people who need to sell, right? Power of sale listings, etc. And then there's people who are like rich, that have paid their homes off, that have a really low mortgage on it or no mortgage on it, that don't need to. And what we're seeing them do is pivot into renting the properties rather than selling them. And this is where that kind of like commodity product comes into place, because one of the things that we found interesting, and this is how I really connected with iGuide, is I was like, can we just take your camera and like give it to my agent so they can stop like going and like using their iPhones to go take pictures of listings and it just like looking garbage. And also for us, and this is a really interesting thing, even just as a sales proposition, does everybody know how realtors make money on leases versus sales? No? Okay. So they get paid 1 month's rent typically, and it's split between the two realtors. So very, very small margins, right? They don't have the money to be spending marketing these things. It commands a commodity product. But what we found with the iGuide is that tenants don't really care to see a property that much, to be honest, because it's not like a huge financial commitment, right? They're not going to be there forever. They're not going to own it. And so we wanted to actually go further upstream and make it possible for them to see these virtual tours so that they can actually make a decision. And it starts helping us actually filter, and it makes our leasing process way more efficient. As a brokerage, we focused a lot on leasing. Because we built technology, it allowed us to do hundreds or thousands of deals rather than dozens. And every time we do a deal, we iterate the technology better. Also, kind of like 2 or 3 years ago, I realized that the market was going to not be in a good position, and leasing was a good place to be. So for those of you, like if there's a takeaway here, and again, it's hard for me to say, hey, yeah, you should go and try and sell something to the agents who are making $1,000 on a deal and figure out a way to price that accordingly. But if there's an opportunity for commodity product, this chart shows you when the lines were there properly that there's a record number of like what you saw in sales last year. Record number of listings for sale. We're starting a year off 2 years back, 3 years back to back of record number of properties being listed for rent by realtors. If there's a way to create a product for them, I think that's a good opportunity. So even though we're seeing, anybody have any questions, by the way? No? Okay, cool. And the reason that we're seeing, yeah. Or realtors who are listing rental properties. So it's like, I can give you the data if you guys want it, but basically like the qualification rate for our showings for tenants who have already clicked through a property and looked at it, like we're not, like agents are, I'll start from the very beginning. So we generate leads for our realtors, right? And it's really hard to get realtors to call their leads. Realtors are inherently attracted to the business because it feels like there's not a lot of work. I mean, you guys work with them, right? They think it's not a lot of work and they're going to make an absolute insane amount of money. It's not the case. And when you tell them they have to make a bunch of calls in their CRM, they don't like that. But the agents, so it's like, okay, well, how do we make the deal easier for you? Let's make sure that the tenant has actually already done a virtual tour of the property. And now when they show up, they're not surprised, you didn't waste your time, et cetera. And so this is why we wanted to actually start using the iGuide and our agents will even go and just offer people a virtual tour before touring the property if we already have one, because again, it's not a big transaction. So if you can do like a commoditized product for rentals, again, understanding the agents are making like no money on a rental, right? Very little money, and they can't really spend in a big way, but these things do turn over very quickly. You're going to get paid very quickly. I mean, I would say. I think it's a real market that's capturable. It's unfortunately a race to the bottom type of market. Yes. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even answer your question. Yeah, a virtual tour is like the best qualifier because a tenant just basically wants to like be able to click through and understand the space and be like, could I live here? And then if they've done that, then the agent is way more often just going there and actually doing a deal rather than doing like a tour, right? It's like, okay, I just needed to touch and feel the space and now I'm good to go. Now I'm ready to sign. It's also another way, like one of the things that we found that agents have a hard time doing is collecting documents from tenants. It's a lot of like sensitive financial information, et cetera. And if we can give them a virtual tour and it looks like a lot more, of a credible experience, that it makes that process easier, which makes it easier for the agent to decide whether or not this person even has a chance of getting the rental and then send it to the landlord and move. So we're literally just trying to compress the leasing process because agents make so little money on it. We want to make it as easy as possible on them, and iGuide's been one of the most powerful ways for us to do that. Anybody else? Yeah?
So if an agent is inherently financially stressed due to low margins on rentals and leases, like, do you find that the price tolerance for the product is $10 $20?
On that? On a lease? I mean, it would vary based on the value of the lease. Do you want me to tell you the truth about agents? Is like they're not exceptionally good at managing money, so like they're not as price sensitive as you might think. They're very cash flow sensitive. So like we have a vendor that we've worked with a lot, and we pay them on closing of deals for rentals, right? And like that, it's just a business decision, but it's an easy one. And if they were able to do that, that means that I've already collected my money, or not me, but my agent has already collected their money, and then the money goes out. And so, whereas like agents, especially right now, they're faced with the challenge on the front end of a listing for sale, where they're like, is this seller serious about price? Is this listing actually going to sell? And they're kind of gambling in their head, right? They're running like a cost benefit analysis. I'm going to put thousands of dollars into this listing. Am I actually going to get a sale? And so that's their sensitivity. It's less like they're actually trying to margin compress. It's more like, can we take the risk on this together? And I'm not maybe recommending this because a lot of these deals might not sell. And so you'd obviously still want to figure out a way to collect on the back end. But leases are way higher likelihood of actually executing. But agents, I would say, just from a pricing psychology perspective, far more cash flow sensitive than price sensitive. They love making bad financial decisions. They just, as a result, they, in many cases, are going to pay you. They're going to leave it on a credit card. That deal is going to end up like 90 days on the market. And then if it doesn't sell, now they're out the money. If you can back end that, or even, if you say it's on the expiry or successful closing of the listing, it kind of puts you in the accounts receivable game. So I'm not like really making it as a business recommendation, but like that's going to make the sale easier, just as if we're moving the logic to the front end. Is that sure? Yeah. I don't know how long I'll be around after, but yeah, I just have a sick kid at home, so otherwise I would have loved to hang out. Anybody else, or I'll just keep going. So the interesting part about a bad real estate market is that it really does widen the gap between what a good listing is and a bad listing is. And I think that is, if we're trying to create a compelling value proposition for what you do, it's agents who are spending the money, and this doesn't apply to every listing, but if you have two listings side by side, the one where the photos look really good and the staging looks really good, and maybe a first-time buyer is excited about it, and when their friends see that they bought that house versus the one next door, even if they're identical, that one looks way better. There's a sense of like pride and product superiority that comes with that, and I think that if you can quantify and get some data that shows how fast listings sell that you photograph, talk to get testimonials from your clients, from your realtor clients, et cetera, on what are we doing that makes it more likely for you to get a sale. It's going to make it a lot easier. The other thing I think we'll talk a little bit more about is just like brand building. And when we talk about like kind of AI slop and versus like what is a moat for a creative industry or for realtors as we move towards like kind of this line between like the AI slop world and the really high quality tangible brand world is actually a personal brand. So I kind of went through this already on the tenant side. The other thing that I'll mention on iGuide is, do you guys know that like Toronto Real Estate Board mandated that agents have to put in listing measurements into their, yeah? You guys are aware of this? Okay, cool. So one of the things that we've found is like really easy little add value for you to do. So one of the AI tools that we've built and we've taught a lot of agents just how to build this themselves using like, do you guys, like anybody use like Claude Cowork or like, yeah? Cool. Less technical audience than I expected. Like Codex, like you guys don't like use AI to like click through your computer and do stuff on like a regular basis? Yeah, some people, okay. So, no? Okay, we'll talk, I can teach you guys how to do that if you want. But so a lot of agents now are using like agentic workflows to input a listing as an example. You can take the PDF of like 80% of what an agent can do or agent does and it has to do on a computer can be done by AI right now, right? which is a big problem for real estate agents. But if you get the measurements anyway from your iGuide, if you can just like put that into ChatGPT as part of your workflow and ask it to give you a prompt that they can put into Claude or whatever that will properly have it, or even if you want to go even further, give them the measurement page on the listing. Again, I know it's silly, but like these are the little things that are actually going to go the distance, because that's like you just saved a realtor 10 minutes, and like 10 minutes is a huge thing for realtors. I found this it's crazy. They'll spend so much money on AI to do to do the automated way the most like task career like really, but I don't know. Anyway, so a lot of agents pivoted into leasing. I've talked a little bit about this. That's sort of like what I would call like the more commoditization. We went this way as a brokerage. It was like, this is our commodity product. How do we like make a really high turnover workflow profitable? And we've done a pretty good job at it by automating away like 80% of the job, so that all realtors are really doing is showing properties and providing a little bit of customer service and handholding. If you can do the same thing, again, floor plans, interactive layouts to make it simpler for realtors to convert on tenants, they will be very grateful for that, and I think that they'll pay. They're not going to pay a lot of money, but if you can just make it very, very simple, again, it's not something that needs to look amazing, so it is a more commodifiable product. This is the thing that, you know, like when I post mostly like on social media about economics, the housing market, and now a lot of AI stuff, and a lot of people talk about AI slop. Is like anybody here like a really passionate AI slop hater? Yeah. Are you though? Like how do you feel about like AI slop? Yeah. I'm the same. Yeah. So sorry, just a sec. I'll tell you. I mean, this is the unfortunate reality about the direction that we're heading, I think, as a society. How am I for time? Like 10, 15 minutes? 10 minutes? Yeah. Okay. Just like kick me off the stage if I'm. So, like, we're in a position where like computer work is like not going to be taken seriously in like a year, right, or 2 years, because everybody's just going to know that like you just prompted something else to do that thing. It's weird, and it's a weird way to think, and a lot of people are like afraid of the commodification. I'm not telling you to like cheapen your product and race to the bottom and whatever, but I'm just saying like from a business model angle, there's value to thinking about it. So. People love slop, right? AI slop is like, oh, it's so horrible and whatever, but I'm in a room full of people who probably have like a very good eye for what looks nice and what doesn't. And that would put you in like the top, it would put you in like the 99th percentile of like human taste, let's say, right? That means that like everybody else outside of this room is below you. And humans have communicated with their purchase preferences that they love slop, right? Walmart is slop. Netflix is slop. TikTok, Amazon, right? I got some other examples here. What are they? McDonald's, slop, right? What's the common thread between these businesses? They all do exceptionally well. And it's an unfortunate reality, but like, again, I think most of you are making a product for consumers that are maybe in the top 10 or 25th, or sorry, top 75th percentile, but the vast majority of the market likes consuming garbage, yes?
You're saying the word swap?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm so terminally online that like I don't know, AI slop is like the like jargon with all the like M dashes and like it's not X but Y stuff that you see everywhere. Like everything is written the same way. What's that? Yeah. Like you know images that you can tell are computer generated, language that's you can tell it's computer generated. It's like garbage output by a machine. Yeah, that. Sorry, yeah, I should have contextualized that better. It was a very good question. That's AI slop, I think, right? So unfortunately, consumers like that. And so there's a whole world outside of like being really exceptionally good at what you do and celebrating the creativity of the industry that is slop, that very lucrative businesses have sold to consumers for hundreds of years and done exceptionally well with. Again, it's like, it's almost a moral issue at this point to like decide whether or not that's a road that you want to go down, but there's money to be made in these like high iteration transactions that you can pump out and commoditize and make life simple for agents. And in a bad market, you do see brands like that and models like that really do a lot better than the more premium luxury product. What's the thing that I mean, we talked about it, right? Agents are spending less money right now. Really good photos is a luxury good. Luxury goods, you typically see a lot of contraction during economic downturns. So there's kind of two ways that I would divide this into is when you go down this road, both economically and the direction that we're going with technology is there's no, like, it will probably eliminate the middle ground of what is the world of your industry, my industry look like in probably within like 5 to 10 years. I think adoption will be slower than most people think. A lot of people say all the jobs are gone by next year, 2 years. It's like, this is not the case. But so what you'll typically see, in my business, like 90% of the agents do 10% of the transactions. 10% of the agents do 90% of the transactions. I don't know what it's like in yours, but let's call it like a Pareto distribution. The 90% of the agents who do 10% of the transactions, they're gone, right? And functionally, they've been replaced by AI. Everybody says, oh, agents won't be replaced by AI. I don't know what the quote is. It's like, agents using AI will replace agents who don't. That's not the case. If they're gone from the industry, which is happening, we're already seeing new enrollments and people leaving the business contracting massively. AI replaced them because it made the other agents at the top more efficient. Their output went up. If I can do 80% of what a realtor can do, if an agent is actually using the AI tools that we built properly, we can do 80% of their job. If they can do 80% less work, that means they can do 5x more output, assuming that they're changing or charging the same price. So the agents who are leveraging AI exceptionally well and the people who are calling us and asking us for custom builds or buying our solution are the agents who are already doing really well and realize that this is a tool that they want to leverage.